What I am concentrating on now, and what I highly recommend you do also. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. We are all in different locations, we are all in different situations, we all have different skill sets, we all have different abilities. So, with that said, these are some things that I'm concentrating on that you might find advantageous also. With everything going on in the world around us, you can see why I pick these things to talk about. There's a lot going on. There's a lot upcoming. We are in the beginning throes of World War III. We also have midterm elections coming up. We also have a lot of coming food shortages. We also have financial systems that are around the world that appear to be on the verge of collapse, which is understandable due to the misuse and mismanagement of them, and the fact that they're not backed by anything. They're just fiat currencies. It's just a bunch of BS. So what am I concentrating on? Well, you may think you know, but you may be thrown for a loop a little bit. One thing I'm thinking on is, and this isn't the main thing, this is one thing, is that every 2 years, election cycle comes around. What goes crazy during that time frame? What was Obama the best salesman of in the history of the United States? Defensive tools. But I'm not talking defensive tools necessarily, because I'm fairly squared away in that category. I don't feel you have to have a whole bunch. I feel that if you have extras for other people that show up, that's great. I don't feel that you have to have some fancy high dollar brand name, whatever, certain things, especially, and all the doodads and the gadgets and the tactical stuff. But one thing that you have to have are seeds for those tools, or they're worthless. Lots of seeds, because why? Part of it goes into the second thing, the main thing that I'm concentrating on. But one thing is, you need to have the capability to defend yourself, your family, your neighborhood, your way of life, maybe your nation, against enemies, foreign or domestic, however it goes down. If you're military or somebody else has taken the oath, I hope that you are planning on abiding by it. To support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You would be right in saying that we should already be doing something about defending our Constitution because they're trampling all over it. I get it, you're right. A lot of it's due to the very drastically lowered testosterone level in men and the push for the feminization of men versus the masculinity of men. Masculinity is not toxic. Being an a-hole is toxic. That has nothing to do with testosterone. We do not have the same testosterone levels that they did back in 1776. Or we would have been shooting by now. Honestly, I'm not pushing for that. I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying that's what I desire to happen. I'm not saying go out and do something stupid or unlawful. But having enough ammo set aside for yourself and others. A lot of people say, oh, what do you need 1,000 rounds for? Because, you're going to die long before you use all those up. Well, that has very good likelihood of that happening. Yes, that is true. But there's a lot of other uses for ammo. I mean, we can go hunt those deer with the body armor on, right? Thanks, Uncle Joe. Yeah, let's go, Brandon. Anyway, what other uses for it is there? Well, the tactical application uses, to use it in actual defense. There's also equipping others. If you are in a tribe and you have the ability or the capability or the mindset or whatever to stockpile the seeds while other people in the tribe do other things, then that's good. Because maybe they don't have as much, a good amount. Another thing is bartering. I would never barter ammo personally, freedom seeds, but you can. And they would have intrinsic value because you can feed yourself with it, you can defend yourself with it, you can barter with it, etc. But the biggest thing with the ammunition goes along with the second part I want to talk about. Training. Time on the gun. Repetition. That's where what I do with my freedom seeds is that I separate them into two groups. I have my food storage, whatever, and freedom seeds stockpile that is for longer term. And then I have my training seeds that I keep stocked at an appropriate level for me to be able to train as much as I possibly can. That is the second part. I am upping my game training-wise with my tribe, with myself. Now, we train as a tribe every so often, set period of time, but that's not adequate, obviously. If you only go to things like that every week, every other week, once a month, whatever it is for your tribe, if you have a tribe, I hope you do. But if you're only doing it once every couple weeks, or even once a week, even twice a week, it's really not adequate. If you really want to up your game and be effective, if you really want to be able to potentially survive the fight, you need to have training on a more regular basis, which is what I do. And what I do is the training for our group, I take lessons learned away from that every time. Every time I critique myself honestly enough that I find mistakes that I have made. And then when I'm not training with the guys, I spend the time, put in the effort, put in the time to train, to practice. Not train, practice. I know training is where you learn it. Practice is where you practice it. Time on the gun. Time on the defensive tool. If you want to be effective, you need to put in the time, take the effort, make it a priority to achieve a higher level of training. I guarantee you, others are doing this, and a lot of them are not on our side. Whether it's government and government agencies, of course they're doing it, training. Whether it's Antifa, BLM, whatever. They are training. They have actually sent people to the Middle East with different organizations over there to receive militant training. They're actually taking it seriously. Have any people on quote-unquote our side done that? I doubt it. One thing I find that one of the differences is that between our side, their side, quote-unquote, is that our side is we're constrained by morals. We're constrained by being an example to others, a positive example, and we are also not as extreme. So what we do is we go to work every day. A lot of people do. They get up, they go to work, they come back, and they see their families. So they're constrained with time. They can't just take off and do all this kind of training. Whereas a lot of people on the other side don't work because they're useless idiots. They're people that slough off the system. Uncle Sugar's paying their bills, giving them low rent housing, free food, all this stuff like that. I'm not knocking all those programs. I understand there's a need for it sometimes for certain people. But these are people that are fully capable of working and they just don't. So they have free time. They're a bunch of punk little kids running around playing dress up and thinking that they're cool. But because of that, and because of the fact they actually take it seriously, they may be more well equipped for what is coming than we are. We, meaning our side, conservative, people that believe in God, people that love our country, believe in the Second Amendment, the Constitution, all these kind of things. Because they're actually taking it seriously. Are you? I've talked about that a lot lately. So, what's on my mind, what I recommend you guys do, stockpile lots of seeds. Get good quality seeds. Don't get crap. Don't get a bunch of junk. the prices have come down. So it's fairly reasonable to acquire, and it's available to acquire the seeds you need. Me personally, our group is fairly standardized on M855 SS109, 556. And fairly commonly, on 9, those little millimeter things, and 7.62 by 51. Those are predominantly the 3 calibers. Now, group standardization is important, but there's a lot of other things that are important also. Have the gear, but I would much rather you spend your money on a good quality training course and then a bunch of reps practicing than buying some fancy doodad or night vision or a plate carrier and plates. Plate carrier and plates, okay. That's one thing that a lot of people concentrate on. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think what it is that there are people in certain situations that can make use of things like that, whether especially in an urban environment. The more urban you are, the higher the population density that you are, the more threats that are out there, the more use you would have for something like that. But I feel that the majority of people that are thinking along these lines probably live fairly rural, or they're going to gather somewhere rural, and they're going to be fighting from the mountains and the forests and stuff like that, which you don't want the encumbrance of carrying all that extra weight with those plates. I'm not saying don't have them. I'm just saying be realistic. As partisan guerrilla war fighters, you want to be light and fast. And it doesn't matter what kind of kit. I mean, you can buy a $35, $45 something chest rig from like Condor and throw some mag pouches on it and call it good. Maybe throw a knife on it, throw a pack on your back. The training is the key. It doesn't matter about all this Gucci gear. I know everybody loves to talk about Gucci gear. I talk about gear also, of course, because I show people kind of what I use, what I run and stuff like that, just as an example of what you might make use of. Not saying that that's the end all be all. We all have different skill sets. Like I said, you may not have any use of some of the stuff that I carry because you don't know how to use it. Or you may need to carry more because you don't have the skills to back up going out into the woods and surviving with minimal gear. This is where skills are important. This is why I'm practicing, I'm training incessantly. Every second I get. I don't have to go to work. Thank the good Lord above. I'm blessed. And you guys have been around here long enough, know the story, but that was a blessing in disguise that allowed me to be quote-unquote full-time retired and I'm able to play with my kids all the time, put together this beautiful, I feel beautiful garden, and put in the reps on the gun. Anyway, get out, do the things, please. Subscribe, hit the button, hit the thumbs up, please. Share the videos. Also, there's that little heart with a thanks in it. It's called a super thanks. I really appreciate if you guys feel like donating to the channel, helping us out, do the things, putting better quality videos out. Oh, actually, I need to test that sometime. I got a mic with a little boom thing that I'll be testing out in some new videos. This is really inexpensive. I've tried a couple other mics out. They don't really work, so I kind of just sit here in front of the camera. I would like to have better capability. But anyway, I love you guys. I thank you guys very much for being here. Remember that prepping is living insurance and that we need to do our part. Trust in God, but do our part. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day and blessings to you and yours.